What if the coldest, most desolate place on Earth is actually hiding the warmest chapter of our past, a time when Antarctica was a tropical paradise millions of years ago? And if that sounds impossible, how do we explain the countless mysterious pieces of evidence that exist worldwide, each one hinting that our history may be far stranger than we were taught? Do you believe that prehistoric civilizations, or even extraterrestrial civilizations, once existed on Earth, leaving behind only subtle traces for us to find? The discoveries discussed in this video may strongly suggest that such civilizations did exist, and you and I are going to walk through that evidence together. If Antarctica is supposed to be nothing more than a frozen wasteland, then why does it keep producing unexplained phenomena that defy mainstream history and raise uncomfortable questions about what truly lies beneath? Right now, when we picture Antarctica, we imagine an endless sheet of ice, howling winds, and a place so harsh that almost nothing survives without advanced technology. According to the standard story, it has been locked in ice for as long as human civilization has existed, cut off from us and irrelevant to our development. Yet the more researchers look, the more they find data and anomalies in this frozen realm that do not fit the neat timeline we memorized. In this tension between the official narrative and the stubborn, unexplained phenomena at the bottom of the world is where our mystery really begins. So what if the key to understanding Earth's hidden past is buried, not in some jungle temple, but under miles of Antarctic ice? Around the globe, from deserts to ocean floors, there are remnants and clues that seem to point toward a lost chapter of civilization, and Antarctica sits at the center of that growing puzzle. When you place these scattered pieces side by side, a pattern begins to emerge, one that suggests someone, long before us, possessed knowledge and abilities that should not have existed at the time. Some speculate that the someone could have been an advanced ancient civilization that rose and fell before recorded history, while others propose contact with a non-human intelligence that shared its secrets and then vanished. Stay until the end, because the last piece flips the entire story. But before we decide who or what left these clues behind, we need to examine the first shocking artifact that forces us to rethink everything we know about Antarctica. In 1513, an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis drew a map that should not exist. On its parchment surface, alongside familiar coastlines, appears a vast southern landmass whose contours astonishingly resemble Antarctic, yet the continent would not be officially discovered until 1820, and even then it was already buried under ice. The map seems to trace an ice-free coastline, as if someone had seen Antarctica in a very different age, when its shores were open to the sea instead of locked beneath a frozen shell. If our history is complete, how did a 16th century cartographer obtain such impossible knowledge? What makes this even more astonishing is that Piri Reis openly admitted he did not work alone. He compiled his chart from older, mysterious source net. He described drawing upon fragments of ancient charts, some so old and worn that their origins were unknown even in his time, suggesting a lineage of geographic knowledge past forgotten centuries. This transforms the Piri Reis Map from a lone curiosity into a potential remnant of a much deeper cartographic tradition, one that may reach back to a civilization with reach and precision we do not officially recognize. If the admiral was only the editor, then who were the original authors of this extraordinary depiction? Modern technology has added yet another shocking layer to this mystery. Sonar surveys of Antarctica have mapped the terrain hidden beneath the ice, revealing the true shape of the buried coastline, and researchers have noted that it astonishingly, and in places precisely, matches the contours drawn on the Piri Reis map. Official voices tend to attribute this to coincidence, misinterpretation, or imaginative reconstruction, but this explanation raises several issues. If the match is more than chance, then somehow, long before 1513, someone charted Antarctic as sub-ice terrain, as if the ice were not there at all. This suggests something incredible. Either advanced ancient civilization once sailed along an open Antarctic shore and recorded it, or some other intelligence with capabilities beyond our own shared that information with early mapmakers. In both cases, the map becomes a piece of hard evidence that our understanding of Earth's past is missing an entire chapter, one in which global exploration and precise surveying were already underway. The Piri Reis Map does not just defy explanation, it raises the question of who possessed such vast, world-spanning knowledge, and why their legacy survives only in fragments. And yet, as staggering as an impossible nut may be, an object discovered on the Antarctic seafloor would soon suggest that it was not only mapped that this hidden intelligence may have left behind. In 1964, as the research ship USNS Eltanin methodically floated the seabed, one frame captured something that should not have been there. Rising from the otherwise barren ocean floor was a strange, symmetrical object, standing upright like a manufactured structure in a place where only sediment and scattered. Its form was so precise and orderly that crew members later compared it to an antenna or transmitter, as if some hidden device had been planted at the bottom of the world. The image stunned those who saw it. Because it did not look like a random growth of nature, it looked purposeful. If this object was not a natural formation, then someone or something had gone to a lot of trouble to install it in one of the most remote places on Earth. But that was exactly when a very different, much more ordinary explanation was introduced. The official line was swift and confident. The Eltanin Antenna, as some began to call it, was said to be nothing more than a deep-sea sponge, a species known as clad or hazy aconcrescence. According to this explanation, the straight central stalk and radiating branches were simply biological structures, no more mysterious than any other deep-ocean organism anchored in the mud. However, this neat classification raises several troubling questions for those who study the photograph closely. The object's geometry seems almost engineered, its branches spaced in a regular pattern, its central stem unusually straightened like the more chaotic, clustered appearance seen in known sponge colonies. This suggests that the sponge label may have been less a discovery and more a convenient way to fold a shocking image back into the realm of the ordinary. Multiple arguments have been raised against the sponge theory by researchers who are not satisfied with the official answer. They point out that, in the photograph, there is no sign of a larger colony or surrounding cluster, just a lone, almost perfectly symmetrical structure rising from the sediment like a solitary instrument. They also question why something that looks so much like a receiver or transmitter would appear in a region that receives no sunlight and offers little reason for a plant-like form to evolve tall, branch-like extensions. To those who see intention in its design, the object resembles a sensor, something built to listen, to measure, or to communicate. If that is even remotely true, then the next clue about its purpose comes from where, exactly, it is standing on the seafloor. The Eltanin Antenna, according to those who have mapped its approximate position, sits along a major global fault line, where Earth's crust is in constant, subtle motion. This has led some to speculate that, if it is artificial, it might be designed to monitor geophysical activity, recording shifts, vibrations, or even energetic fluctuations that ripple through the planet's shell. In that context, its antenna-like appearance becomes more than a coincidence. It starts to look like part of a network, a hidden infrastructure placed with precision in one of the most geologically active regions on Earth. Others have gone further, comparing its distinctive shape to motifs found in ancient rock art, such as the enigmatic figures in Utah's Sego Canyon, which some say accurately depict strange, antenna-like forms encountered by people thousands of years ago. What do you think the true purpose of the Black Knight satellite in the Eltanin Antenna is? Who placed them here? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next episode. If similar forms echo from prehistoric canyon walls to the modern ocean floor, we are forced to ask whether the same unknown intelligence could be leaving markers across both time and space. The Eltanin object may be a remnant of a sophisticated Earth-based civilization that mastered the planet's geology long before our recorded history began. Or it may be the work of an extraterrestrial presence placing instruments where humans were never meant to look. Either way, the photograph hints that someone may be watching the Earth's deep interior as if it were a fragile experiment, worth constant measurement and careful observation. And if there is a hidden antenna on the seafloor, silently standing guard in the dark, it raises one final, unnerving question: what might be silently orbiting above our heads, performing a similar function from the cold void of space? Some researchers point to an object known as the Black Knight satellite, an alleged artificial body said to have been orbiting our planet for an astonishing 13,000 years, long before any civilization we recognize as technological ever appeared. If that timeline is even partly accurate, it would mean something non-linear human has been circling above us since the end of the last ice age, watching as continents thawed, seas rose, and humans slowly rebuilt. The idea alone evokes a strange mix of awe and ease, a silent sentinel in the sky, patient, enduring, unblinking. But the story becomes even more unnerving when we look at how this object first came to modern attention in the mid-20th century. In the 1950s, at the very dawn of the space age and before Sputnik officially became the first human-made satellite, tracking stations operated by both U.S. and Soviet scientists reportedly picked up something they could not identify. In an era defined by rivalry and suspicion, each side assumed the other had launched a secret device, only to discover that neither nation claimed it. This unexplained phenomena orbiting above their heads defied the expectations of military planners and astronomers alike, who worst and that the skies might already be occupied. The object did not fit the profile of any known rocket body or piece of debris in the catalogues. And when analysts began to reconstruct its path around Earth, the mystery only deepened. Instead of following the convenient, energy-efficient prograde path used by human spacecraft, the Black Knight was said to be moving in a retrograde orbit, traveling east to west against the planet's rotation. Even more astonishing, it appeared to be in a polar orbit, sweeping over the entire Earth from pole to pole, as if its purpose were global surveillance rather than regional communication. At the time, such an orbit, especially in a retrograde direction, was far beyond the capabilities of known technology, requiring massive energy and advanced engineering. This raises the question who or what would choose such a demanding, unstrategically perfect trajectory for a simple, purposeless object. Adding to the mystery are reports that the Black Knight has transmitted radio signals for decades, as though it were broadcasting data or a repeating diode into the void. Some speculate that early radio pioneers, including Nikola Tesla himself, may have intercepted unusual signals that did not match known terrestrial sources long before anyone spoke of satellites at all. If those enigmatic transmissions were indeed connected to this object, then it has been speaking in the language of radio since before we understood how to reply. To this day, no universally accepted explanation accounts for those alleged signals in a way that fully dispels the aura of an intelligent origin. And then, as if the story needed another layer, one of the most trusted witnesses in space exploration history entered the picture. During a later era of spaceflight, astronaut Gordon Cooper reportedly described seeing an object in orbit that matched the strange profile attributed to the Black Knight, an encounter that official explanations have tried to frame as misinterpretation or instrumental error. Yet for many, the testimony of an experienced astronaut only intensifies the impression that something non-human may be quietly sharing our skies. When we combine an ancient orbital timeline, an unnatural polar retrograde path, unexplained radio emissions, and a reported visual sighting, we are left with the unsettling image of a persistent, hidden observer circling above us. Could it be a remnant device from an advanced ancient civilization that once mastered the art of spaceflight, or a long-term monitoring station placed here by an extraterrestrial intelligence, taking the long view of Earth's history? Taken together, we now have to call mysteries framing our entire journey a precise, antenna-like structure resting on the floor of the Southern Ocean, and a dark, enigmatic object circling high above our heads in an unnatural orbit. Once it's at the bottom of the world's coldest waters, the other glides through the vacuum of space, both resembling technology rather than geology. Rather than geology, one has been explained away as a simple sponge, the other as misidentified debris, yet both continue to defy explanation in the minds of many who study their details. When an object at the ocean's depth seems to be listening, and another in orbit appears to be watching, we are faced with a picture of Earth that feels uncomfortably like part of a larger system. So who built that system if it exists at all? The first major theory points not outward, but backward, suggesting that an advanced ancient civilization on Earth may have risen to heights we struggle to imagine, only to fall and be forgotten. In this view, the Eltanin Antenna could be a remnant of a global network built by our distant ancestors, a device meant to monitor oceans, tectonic activity, or even cosmic events, still standing silently long after its makers vanished. The Black Knight, on the same line of thought, might be a surviving fragment of their spacefaring age, a derelict sentinel continuing its orbit long after its civilization lost the ability to even remember it once launched such things. This would mean that what we call prehistory might hide a cycle of rise and collapse, where our current technology is not a first, but a recovery. If that were true, how much of our own story would we have to rewrite? The second theory looks beyond Earth and imagines that both objects could be part of an extraterrestrial surveillance or research network installed here long before we could ever detect it. Under this scenario, the seafloor structure might be an anchored sensor placed on a strategic point of our planet, while the Black Knight would act as an orbital relay, patiently gathering and transmitting data over thousands of years. Rather than remnants of our forgotten past, they become instruments of someone else's long-10 experiment, observing our world as it changes from shifting ice and oceans to the sudden glow of cities and radio signals. The idea is unsettling but also astonishing, because it implies that Earth may have been on someone's map long before it was fully on our own. If both objects are part of such a network, then what kind of intelligence would invest in watching a small blue planet for so long? In the end, both theories on advanced ancient human civilization and patient extraterrestrial presence demand that we expand our sense of scale, in time, in space, and in what we consider possible. The ocean-floor antenna and the shadowy satellite in polar orbits are like bookends around our planet, challenging the notion that history is simple and that our skies and seas are fully understood. Perhaps the truth lies in one of these theories, or in a combination we have not yet considered, where forgotten human knowledge and non-human visitors intersect in ways we are only beginning to speculate about. For now, we are left with enduring mysteries that refuse to fit neatly into any conventional explanation, yet continue to whisper written into the fabric of Earth itself. So we are left to ask, are we the first to stand at this level of understanding on this planet, or are we latecomers waking up in a world already marked by someone or something else?